Kia ora koutou, no mai haere mai, and welcome to Frogs on Friday, on a very rainy and dreary Friday afternoon. But, well, you've got to have some of those days, don't you? On today's show, we will go through mahi media, and we're talking about leave entitlements and the impact that that has on individuals as well as businesses. We'll go across the hot jobs in New Zealand and abroad. And should you stay or should you go? So we're joined today by business support recruitment consultant Chitra Gualti, and she's going to discuss essential strategies to ensure that you're able to successfully navigate counter offers hopefully without burning any bridges. And then we'll finish off with our social media poll results. But before we kick into that, I just wanted to have a shout out to the whole Frog team, including our sister company, People to People, as well, who we get a lot of support from. So last night we were thrilled to be finalists at the RCSA Industry Awards. So we were finalists for a couple of categories: outstanding medium agency and excellent in client services. And as you can see there, the beautiful smiling faces of some of the team there. We were so proud to be winners in excellence in client services. So well done, team, and thank you to all our clients. It's really pleasing and humbling to know that we are providing some excellent services and that it's being appreciated. So keep up the good work, guys, and well done. Okay, let's jump into mahi media. So it's now been 3 years since sick leave entitlements doubled to 10 days. And if you cast your mind back, it caused a bit of an uproar and I think a bit of concern around what this would mean to people and to businesses. So we've continued to track how sick leave has been used, impacts on the business, and also how work from home fits in with this as well. So one of the key findings from our recent survey was that nearly half of parents surveyed, so 47%, are using their sick leave to care for kids rather than working from home or, say, outsourcing to whānau to look after them. Now, this definitely shows that some of those fears were ungrounded. So workers definitely can be trusted. Also, with remote working becoming normalised, again, there were fears that the business could be taken advantage of. And if you think about it, it seems it could be really easy to claim that you're working from home when actually you're, tied up with caregiving, and that's the main thing that you're doing through the day. But that's definitely not happening. So we can trust our workers; they're not taking it for granted. And if they're still able to multitask and do a day's work from home, their children aren't that sick, they'll work from home. But if the focus is on caregiving and that's going to take their main attention, they will use that sick leave. Another thing that comes into play is, I guess there's been some inconsistencies in government recommendations on whether or not you should stay at home when you're sick. So for workers, the message stays the same. If you're unwell, keep your germs at home. But it's a bit of a different story when it comes to children and whether or not they should go to school. So a little bit conflicting on if it's a bit of a sniffle, just go to school. We want to make sure that you're keeping up your attendance. So that can mean it's really confusing for workers trying to figure out what the right thing to do is. And I guess with 22% of people reporting that they had used more than 10 days sick leave over the last year, and again, these are likely to be parents, I think it's really tempting to use that government advice as an excuse if they're running low on sick leave to ease the guilt in being able to make the decision to send their kids to school because you're just following guidelines. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see how that one plays out. So now let's take a look at some of the hot jobs this week. Okay, so first up we have a clinical consultant. This one is based in Dunedin, so paying $50 to $60 per hour. Again, we cover roles all across Aotearoa with branches based in Wellington and Auckland. So this one, they're looking for someone who has that clinical experience. So it might be a background of nursing, physio, general science or engineering to work in this biomed space. If you're interested in this and based down in Dunedin, get in touch with Scott from our Auckland team here. And our perm job of the week is a senior policy advisor based in Wellington. Now, just before we started this show, Chitra said, are you going to do that horrible thing where you surprise me with a question in my section? And I said, oh, yeah, I probably will. But just to add to things, she probably knows more about this role. So I'll get you to jump in, Chitra, and tell us a little bit more about the senior policy advisor.
Thanks for that, Shannon. So we're recruiting for a senior policy advisor. It's based in Wellington. It's a fixed term, 6-month role, possibility for extension depending on the parental, it's covering a parental leave, so depending on how that goes. This role will be working very closely with the private secretary, so involved with like senior leaders, having weekly meetings with ministers and private secretaries. So there's quite a big focus on the ministerial churn in this. And the second part of the role is supporting principal advisors with some policy work. After someone who's very organized and detail oriented and available as soon as possible until the end of November at this point.
Excellent. See, I told you you'd know a lot more about it than me. If you're interested in that role, get in touch with Chitra or Peter in the Wellington team. And I might point out a little typo there. Don't get too excited. I would say that isn't a typo, and the top end of the bracket isn't 1.3 million. So again, don't get too excited there. All right, let's take a look at some of the jobs available overseas. Okay, so as always, this is just a sample of the many roles that we have available across Australia and the UK. But we have a perm role for a legal secretary based in Adelaide, in South Australia, an admin assistant, $33 per hour in Melbourne, and an EA in central London. That's a permanent role as well. So as always, get in touch with anyone from the Frog team and we can point you in the right direction. Or you can look at the People to People site and find the appropriate consultant to reach out to. Okay, so you'll be warmed up already, Chitra, because I've already thrown you in the deep end, so this will go fine. So we're talking about the art of navigating counter offers, and it's something that we come across quite often as well. So tell us a little bit more about how you should go about that situation.
Yeah. So when you're like job hunting, it's really exciting to get an offer from a prospective employer, but it can turn into a dilemma if a counter offer is presented. It of course comes with the attraction of better compensation, improved benefits, or an enticing work environment. It can make it very challenging between sticking with the original offer or exploring the possibilities that a counter offer presents. In our 2024 Employment and Salary Trends report, we revealed that 48% of organizations counter offered an existing employee in the last 12 months. So, when you're considering a resignation and the potential for counter offers, it's important to approach the situation with careful consideration. So, three tips I can offer to help you navigate this scenario are: firstly, to reflect on your reasons for leaving. Before resigning, assess your motivation for seeking a new opportunity. You have to determine if the counter offer addresses the underlying issues that prompted your decision to look for a new role. Remember, money isn't everything. Secondly, evaluate the counter offer objectively. Don't just ignore the counter offer. Consider whether the counter offer aligns with your long term career goals, taking into account compensation, benefits, and other relevant factors. Lastly, communicate professionally. So it's very important to maintain open and honest communication with both your current employer and the potential new employer. Express your gratitude for the counter offer while respectfully explaining your decision to move forward with your original plans, if that's what you decide to do, or vice versa.
Perfect. Now I'm going to completely surprise you, and I'm not going to ask you a question, but I will add something for the on the. You're welcome. I will add something on the employer side, and I guess how to avoid this situation in the first place. So it's really important to be able to continually evaluate the people within your team, and particularly if there's high performers or people you want to keep, hopefully that's everyone, to be able to look at their engagement, make sure that you're being able to look after the things that are important to them. So, one of the other things from our our market report this year was that long-term career prospects and development is really important to employees and job seekers at the moment. So that's return. So are you doing enough to be able to meet those needs of your standout employees? Okay, thank you, Chitra. You're off the hot seat now. Let's go through and take a look at the polls for this week. Okay, so we're talking about pay transparency last week. Should New Zealand move towards businesses having mandatory pay transparency? So although the winner here in this poll was 42% for yes, we should definitely move to that. I think, there's still quite a bit of uncertainty there. So it was less than half, and a big 32% are not really sure which way we should go. As I said last week, I think it's not that simple an issue, and there are some pros and cons either side. So important decisions to be able to weigh up and not rush into things, I think. Okay, let's take a look at the poll for this week. In the last 12 months, have you used sick leave for anything other than being sick? Good thing these polls are anonymous, I would say. So, or you might be brave enough to write your comments there and say how else you have used your sick leave. It might just be for caring for your whānau as well. That is it for today's show. Hope you stay dry over the weekend. Looks like there's a bit more of this weather to come across the country. So look after yourselves and look forward to seeing you back here next week. Ka kite anō.